So you've seen on the social media posts, you may have met some van lifers parked up at the beach, living their best lives, and you're thinking that you're ready to make the move and you want to become a vanner. So I'm hoping this video might help you ultimately make that decision and give you some helpful hints on how to start. My name's Christy. I've been travelling Australia for 2.5 years in my van Gypsy. And yes, it is an amazing lifestyle. I've never looked back. I really, really love it. I am originally from WA and I've travelled across the Nullarbor 3 times now. So I went over to the East Coast, back again, and I'm now back on the East Coast again. And it has just given me so much freedom. I have seen so much of Australia. It's unbelievable. And I love seeing what's around the next corner. I love to hike and snorkel and just experience the everyday life. I do work full-time from my van as well, but yeah, come watch the rest of the video and you might get some helpful hints on how to start. First question you need to ask yourself is, what's your why? Why do you want to do it? For me personally, I am a gypsy at heart. I used to just move house every other year. You know, I'd go on camping trips down south, just constantly wanting to be on the move. I love to travel the world. So I had tried out van life before in Canada quite a few years ago now, and I really loved it. And going back to a normal life after experiencing that freedom is quite difficult. So I was living in one of the most beautiful places on earth, in my opinion, which was in Dunsborough down in Western Australia. And it was just amazing. It was just so wonderful on the weekends to go out and explore nature and be in that area. However, I knew my heart, I was still crying out for more, and it just kept coming up to me that all I wanted to do was just jump in a van and go. So I was at a point in my life where I was extremely lucky. My daughter is adulting now, so she was off doing her own thing. I didn't have a partner, so I just had that. I didn't have any sense of responsibility anymore, so I was able to do that. So I had gone online and found Gypsy within, she was in half an hour of me, so I went and checked her out, and she was fit out enough that I could almost jump straight into her. And yeah, for me, there are downsides to van life in every day, where you need to find where you're going to park it every night. You need to find out where you're going to shower every day. You always got to find a toilet to be at hand, unless you obviously have a van that has those luxuries. I don't. But yeah, so if it depends on what you want out of the lifestyle. If you want to be more remote, so you might want to be more 4-wheel drive. If you're a bit more worried about being on your own, like me, I like to keep my van a bit more stealth from the outside, so I can still sort of remain in residential areas in the evenings and not bother anybody and not look like a camper. But still then during the day I can go out and be a bit more remote if I want to. So it just depends on what your drive is and what you actually want out of the lifestyle. I love being out in nature. I love hiking. I love snorkeling. I love experiencing new cultures, new places, new people. It's in my bones. It's who I am, which is, why I call Gypsy, because it just represents who I am at heart. So those are the things you've really got to consider. If you're someone who really needs that sense of community and struggles to be on their own, it may not be the lifestyle for you, because you do have to be very comfortable in your own company, because you can be alone for long periods of time. And I'm not going to lie and say it doesn't ever get lonely. I am very comfortable in my own company, but yeah, there are times when you get lonely. So I just try and remain in one place for a little bit longer, like for a week or two, and then I can, get to know people in that area and have some chats and just feel a bit more grounded for a little bit. Sometimes I'll do a house sit as well, just to give my nervous system a little bit of a rest of considering, all the things I need to think about each day during van life. But on the flip side of that, there's things like I don't spend any time cleaning a house. It's very quick to clean the van. So things like that, it provides you so much more free time to do what you want to do and enjoy life. So, I've got time to draw and just be out in nature and hike and all that, because I don't have the responsibility of maintaining a house. And I suppose relationships as well. Like I still keep in touch with important people in my life, but I'm not going out for coffee dates and events and things like this all the time, because me personally, I want to be out in nature. That's where I find my most joy. So there's a few things to consider there and break down. They are the realities of van life, and so you've just got to ask yourself that question as to why you actually want to do it. So now you've thought about it and you know your why, you're convinced that you want to do it, my next suggestion and step to take is to try it out first. So as I mentioned previously, I had actually experienced this life in Canada a number of years ago, and I went with my partner at the time, and we only had like 7 or 8 weeks to explore the country. So we did a really, really quick fit out. It was very, very basic because we had to get on the road as soon as possible. So I had really experienced the realities of van life on that trip of, we were in Canada, so it was really cold and the van wasn't insulated. So the nights were really, really difficult. And, we had to use, drop blues and stuff like that. So we were crossing the countryside. But that's just it. As with anything in life, there's always going to be a trade-off, isn't there? Nothing's ever perfect. For me, those sort of downsides are worth it for the lifestyle. But yes, so try it out. So if you are planning a holiday maybe, and you're not going too far away, and maybe consider getting a camper, hiring a camper and doing the holiday that way, rather than going to one fixed place and getting accommodation in a hotel or, things like that. So the other thing is there's people that do it very differently. So there's people that have got much bigger vans than me that have all a lot more luxury to them, and then there's people who are just living out of their cars. So it might be that if you do just have a car just for the weekend, you can buy some quite cheap window covers, and I think you can even get like a blow up mattress for your car that will actually fit your car. So you just have a look online. There's certainly things you can do just to even live out of your car for a weekend. So that would be my advice, is to try it out first, because then you'll get a bit more of a feel as to whether you really want to do it or not. Okay, so you've tried it out now and you've decided, yep, this is definitely something you want to do. The next step is to stop buying and start selling. So the first thing I did was start to list all my furniture on Gumtree or Marketplace, and as I was selling all that off, I was fitting out the van at the same time for what I needed and just checking what I could and couldn't fit in the van. And things like when I sold my fridge, I obviously had the fridge in my van to use. So yeah, I just kind of made it work for me. It's actually quite a freeing feeling when you get rid of all the belongings that you have. It sort of creates this real sense of, I can't even explain it. It's just something else you don't have to be responsible for. It's just more stuff. So yeah, when you really look at things and go, have I looked at that or used that in the last 12 months? Am I holding on to this particular object for what reason? Yeah, and I sort of like books. I love books, so I had kept all these books, but in reality, and to be honest, I probably still have too many books in my van. In reality, I'm not going to read all of them all the time. So yeah, I just kept the ones that I thought I would want to reread. But to be honest, even in the van, I've still gone through at least once a year and gone, okay, have I used this in the last 12 months? And really, I think the only thing I have left that I could probably still get rid of is some clothes and shoes. So I try to follow the warmer weather wherever I go, but I have kept some of I used to be like an office businesswoman, so I had like all my nice clothing and my high heels and that, and so I've kept a couple of bags of that clothing and shoes, and I'm just about this close to getting rid of that now. So yeah, just really reassess what you have in life. Do you really need to keep it? Does it really mean something to you? If it brings you joy, then yeah, keep it. But if it's something that's just not going to be useful and it doesn't hold that much sentiment to you, then let it go. Maybe somebody else will get some good use out of it. Okay, so now you need to plan your build. There's a lot of things to consider when picking your van, and I think I mentioned before, like, I don't know, if you might want it to four-wheel drive, you might want to use the van more stealth so people can't tell that you're a camper. It just depends on where you want to go and what you want to do with it. Some of the things that I considered when I built mine out and bought it were I can still stand in her, which is important to me because I wanted to be able to, like at night, just lock the van up and just be able to move around in here like it was an indoor space of like a house. Yeah, just that's my security, so I feel like I can lock the doors and be happy and cozy in my little home. So I did the curtains completely block out so I can have my lights on in here and no one can see the light from the outside. I may do another video on how to make those curtains. I didn't want to go any higher though than really what she is at the moment. I'd love to be able to stand completely. I'm still a little bit hunched over when I stand, but when you get that crosswind coming through, she can wobble quite a bit in those crosswinds. So, you know, I'm working on my muscles, but she can be a bit hard to handle sometimes when those winds are coming across. I've got the panels behind my seat, they're wood panels, and they're removable, and I don't need them there. I could just have a curtain, but I like it because it makes it a little bit homier and I can put my little plaques on there. I did still want access though to the front cab for safety, so if I ever felt unsafe, I could just jump in the front cab and drive off. I knew that I wanted to work remotely from my van. I knew that I wanted a quick kettle in the morning for my cup of tea, so I knew I needed 240 power. So I did pay an electrician, and it did cost me quite a bit because I got an inverter and solar panels and all of that so that I could have the 240 power in my van. That may not be what you need if you're planning on not working or you're planning on just doing backpacking jobs or other little jobs in different places. Yeah, so those are some of the things you need to consider. If there's more than one of you in the van, you know, you might obviously need a bigger bed space. I needed a desk space, so I had to make sure I had the desk area there set up. I didn't want to carry gas in my van because I have a paranoia about that, so that's why I wanted the electricity. So if you do have gas, I think you actually need to carry that on the outside of the van for safety reasons, so just look into that as well. But have a look online at everyone else's setups. Like, I still look at people's setups when I'm on the road and get ideas from people as I go. I do have a van life video that takes you through my whole setup here, so you're welcome to go back and have another look at that. But yeah, really need to have a good think about it. I have seen a really cool couple of ones where the bed is on a pulley, a system, and so it pulleys up to the roof during the day, and then they bring it down at night, and that'd be amazing. Obviously that wouldn't work in this van, but that was the other thing. I didn't really want to have to pack the bed away and then bring it out again at night. Like, that was not ideal to me. I just couldn't be bothered doing that. So yeah, I really wanted more of a permanent bed space. So now come to the final piece of the puzzle, which is how are you going to earn money on the road? And obviously I meet a lot of backpackers on the road as I travel, and they're just doing, you know, odd jobs here and there in hospitality and things like that. But that may not suit you. It might not be what you want to do, and you'd prefer a bit more freedom, because ultimately I think that's what we're all trying to achieve in this lifestyle. So yeah, I have a background in finance, so I was really lucky. I have to admit, when I moved into the van, I'm one of those people that when I make a decision, I'm just going to go with it and then just trust that everything will work out. So I did spend about 9 months just living off savings and traveling, and to be honest, I really needed that time off, because I have worked my entire life. So, you know, I've been a single mum as well. So I really enjoyed that, because I did kind of reach burnout by the time I decided to move into Gypsy. So yeah, it was really good 9 months off. And then I thought, well, I better get my act together now, because I really love the lifestyle and I just want to keep doing it. So whilst I'm still trying to get my artwork off the ground and my YouTube channel going, I still need, you know, money day to day, as we all do, just to fuel the fuel, really, you know, have income to pay for everywhere I want to go and eat what I want to eat. I have gym memberships and things like that, because I do like a hot shower. I do stay in caravan parks on the rare occasion. So yeah, so I have a background in finance, and I just went online and I was specifically looking for remote jobs, and I was just so lucky that I did get one in an area that I'm passionate about. So it was really good. So I do work full time, and you know, it is a pain still sitting at a desk for so many hours every day, but it's okay, because I can still change my view on a daily basis, and I can still, you know, spend the mornings and the afternoons out enjoying that area. You know, obviously I'm not working on the weekends, so I can still travel and then hike on the weekends and snorkel and things. So it still really works for me. Plus it still gives me something to focus on, to be honest. So I think, you know, if we don't have a purpose to focus on in life, it can, you know, your mind can start racing and things. So yeah, I do enjoy the job, and yeah, it just ideally, you know, if I could cut the hours down, that'd be fantastic. But yeah, so there are plenty of other remote jobs out there, I'm sure. Like there are a lot of, I think like Amazon and Google and things like that, they do, you know, remote jobs as well. And I think if you put that trust out there and that intention that that's what you want, I'm sure you can find something. You know, if you're like into graphic design and things like that, you could do that. You could start your own business and try and promote yourself online and get clients that way. When I started my bookkeeping business years ago, I actually used to look for bookkeeping jobs online that were for sort of smaller positions, and then I'd approach that company and just say, look, I'm not looking for employment, but I have a business and I can offer you these services at this price. So, you know, you've just got to be proactive about it. I do have a headset, because I do Teams calls. So, and this one works fine for me. I've never had anyone say they can hear anything in the background, and I usually park up at quieter places. So the one with the little speaker thing on it here is quite good, because then that will drown out a lot of the other noise. It focuses just directly on your voice. Yeah, so I think where there's a will, there's a way. So if you really want to make it happen, I'm sure you can find something online. Even if you just go on Seek and you put in the search bar that, you know, you're just looking for a remote, just put the word remote, it should come up with something. It's just being innovative. I've seen other people, other vanners on social media, and some of them do, they're nutritionists. So they'll get, you know, they'll promote their van life through social media, and then they will get clients for their nutrition business. So whatever you do, whatever you have expertise in, I'm sure there is a way of doing it remotely, psychology services, etc. So otherwise, I'm sure you could just go along and just, you know, maybe not travel as much and just stay in one place and do odd jobs here and there, save up for a bit, you know, get a few thousand behind your belt, and then you can travel for a couple of months on that, depending on how scrupulous you want to be.